Legal Mind here, Jude Biamukama is for us and with us. Thank you so much for joining us. What are the potential legal and political implications of these new changes?
Well, there are a couple of issues that I see. First of all, the Supreme Court in the Kabazuguruka decision advised that civilians should only be subjected to the court martial in exceptional circumstances. To my surprise, the bill instead has gone beyond what was originally in the UPDF Act. They have added far more scenarios under which civilians can be subject to military law. And that to me does not seem to be in very good taste. Secondly, there seems to be a struggle in the drafting of this amendment bill to guarantee independence of the unit court martial and the general court martial. The Supreme Court pointed out that the standard in Article 28 for a competent, fair and impartial tribunal includes security of tenure of the judicial officers or decision makers. In other words, the individuals who have to make judicial decisions about matters of life and death, matters of imprisonment, should have a guarantee that if they make a bad decision or a decision which their appointing authority does not like, they won't be fired or removed from office. What is in the bill now is that the members of the unit court martial serve for 3 years. The members of the general court martial again also have a term, I think, of 3 or 5 years. That defeats the concept regarding security of tenure, because a criminal trial can take even 4 years, even 5 years. So what that means is that the people who are taking a decision do not have a guarantee of security of tenure according to the current bill, and therefore the constitution of the unit court martial and the general court martial again does not pass the test of Article 28 when it comes to the Kabazuguruka decision and what it requires.
And that's where I want to ask from your professional opinion. The things you mention, are they oversights, and we're talking legal minds here, or are they deliberate omissions? And two, what will its passing into law mean for the power of the Supreme Court?
I think there are two things. Some of the provisions probably, this is a very lengthy bill. Some of these provisions were hurriedly drafted. I want to think that it's not necessarily about bad faith per se, but a process that has been rushed. And therefore, there wasn't enough room to even think about the decision of Kabazuguruka and carefully digest its recommendations and its implications on this entire process. It is obvious to me, having taken a quick look through the entire bill, that there are so many other outstanding matters which the leadership of the army have always wanted to put in the UPDF law, which have nothing to do with the politics and the controversies over civilians. And those ones you can see are carefully thought out. Things to do with health care for members of the armed forces, things to do with the training, constitution. There are so many other important provisions that have been that they are trying to introduce by way of this amendment. That appears to mean there was a bill which was in the pipeline, but Kabazuguruka forced them to add a number of other provisions that are not carefully thought through. The provision is touching trials of civilians. The provision is touching the constitution of the unit court martial and general court martial. Do not appear to have been given very, very careful thought, and they could still pose challenges in the future. When you also look at the provisions regarding criminal offenses, which can be charged under the general court martial, again I see some problems. There is an attempt, some effort has been made, to be sure, to comply with the decision of the Supreme Court, but it appears to me that the decision was not fully appreciated in terms of its interpretation of Article 28. Article 28 of the Constitution requires that a person who is charged with a criminal offense must be tried before a tribunal that is fair, competent and impartial. And the definition of impartial requires that the people making a decision should have a guarantee of security in their office. There has not been any effort made to address that in the amendment bill. And therefore, I think Parliament and the legal and defense committees should pay particular focus to these areas to ensure that this controversy is resolved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jude Biamukama, weighing in on that. You're still watching NBS Live at 9, and this is what we come back to when we get out of this particular break.